Drug use has been a phenomenon that's been growing more and more ever so recently when it comes to young men and taking steroids in the gym. I can attest, I haven't taken any, but it's definitely been something that it's like, it'd be tempting because you see a lot of the guys on the internet who are just massive and you're like, man, I want to be like that. And then you figure out that you have to take steroids to be as big as they are. And then you also have young women and young men as well who have been turning to weight loss drugs. And this is not fun to see for me because while of course it's always easier to take the easier route, taking drugs is a lot easier than developing a diet plan, sticking to it, not overeating, exercising regularly, and things like that. This can kind of incentivize people to not live a healthier life and instead just turn to drugs, which of course they want you to do because that's how they make more money, is selling you prescriptions and things like that. And especially for young teenagers too. It's like, you're a teenager. Why are you taking drugs at such a young... It's it's really sad to see what society is coming to. It is one of the problems living in a capitalistic society is that everybody is incentivized through capital, and so they will try and find anything they can do to make money. And while I definitely believe it is the best, it's the worst, but it's also the best economic plan that we have, it's also unfortunate that they can prey on young people who maybe having a more difficult time when it comes to weight loss and kind of exploiting them for money and then turning to these drugs that, I mean, maybe in the short term you're losing weight, but who knows the long-term effects. I mean, these things really haven't been around that long, so it's really unfortunate to see them turning to this. And this is an article by NBC News saying more teens, are turning to weight loss drugs. The rise in prescriptions follows the approval of Wegovy for kids as young as 12 years old, and updated recommendations for treating childhood obesity from a major medical organization. And so, yeah, obesity has been a problem in the US for a long time, and it's just growing ever more and more so because food is just so readily available everywhere, fast food and everything like that. Just so many calories packed into these fast food restaurants and chips and all these just readily available things that are somewhat cheap. And it just encourages people to eat and eat more, especially if they're like stressed out about something. A lot of people fall victim to that, where they're just eating and eating, and then because they're maybe stressing out, they're not working out as much because they're not feeling in the mood or something like that, and so they're gaining even more weight, which makes them want to eat more. It's just a vicious, endless cycle. And so these drugs unfortunately kind of prey on those people because it's showing them that's like, hey, I don't even really have to do anything. I don't have to put any effort, dedication, determination, discipline into anything. I can just eat what I want and then take a shot and then I'll lose weight. And it's like, yeah, sure, it works. Of course it works because people are using it and it's working. But is it something that's going to be effective long term? And what are the side effects? Because at the end of the day, if it's that easy, there's usually something in it that's pretty harmful to the body. I mean, let's just look at steroids, for example. Sure, there are ways to minimize this damage steroids does, but one thing people have to understand when taking steroids is that you're taking years off your life. You really are, because it just puts so much stress on the body to be able to hold that much muscle, just the constant tearing down and building back up. I mean, ask people who are honest about it, of course. There's some people who say they aren't, but they obviously are. Mike O'Hearn, shout out. But at the end of the day, you are taking years. I mean, there's going to be a couple people who live to see older ages, 50, 60, 70, things like that. But on the majority, a lot of them, they should be expecting not to live into their 80s and 90s. Sure, it's possible, but it's a lot of wear and tear on the body. And plus, it's an exogenous compound, so it's not something we're supposed to be taking, obviously, because our body isn't producing it ourselves. And so while it's easy to fall into the trap of wanting to take these drugs for weight loss because it's the easy way out, it also kills people from understanding that it takes discipline in anything in life, and the best things or the things that you want the most are generally the hardest to get. A good body, takes a lot of discipline, a lot of managing what you eat, drinking well, sleeping well, exercising, things of that nature. And so this is just encouraging people to bypass all of that to take these drugs, which not only will keep them hooked on the drugs, which makes more money for these medical companies, but it also just kind of kills their motivation to try and pursue anything as well. It says Demi Buckley initially tried to lose weight through diet and exercise, she said, but despite her efforts, nothing worked. And I already want to stop right there. I've had this problem before too, where when I was younger, I said that I had tried, but I wasn't really trying. Like, there's a difference between trying and actually doing something. Trying something for a week or two or even a month is not long enough. It takes time. When I went and cut, I think it was like 25 pounds. It would have been a couple years ago now. It took me, man, probably the better part of a year to get down there. And it was not fun. I'll just put it that way. A lot of days I just felt so hungry. I wanted to eat everything, but I couldn't because I knew I had a goal in mind and I had to stick to it to get down to a more desirable weight. Because when I first started working out, it was just chowing down food as much as I could. And so when they say they tried stuff like this, it just raises a red flag. And it's like, did you really try though? How long did you try? How efficient was the trying? Because saying, oh, I started eating one less chip a day. It's like, are you trying? Sure, but is that really trying? Not really. I mean, come on. So when they say things like this, I mean, I just have to take it with a grain of salt because we just have no idea what exactly the attempt was. The 16-year-old from Saginaw, Michigan, said it was really discouraging to watch other girls do the same workouts as her. I didn't know what was wrong with me or why I couldn't lose weight, she said. Well, some of it has to do with genetics too and metabolisms. Like I had a friend in high school. I mean, even to this day, it's not as bad, but he just ate candy all the time and he stayed super skinny. So some people are just blessed with a metabolism. So you just have to look at it from that perspective too. I didn't have the greatest metabolism. It's a little better now because I've changed my eating habits. But some people are just blessed with the faster metabolism. They get away with eating whatever they want. So, I mean, you also have to take that with a grain of salt as well. Since her mother, Dina, understood what it was like to struggle with her weight. She had a bariatric surgery over 20 years ago, but didn't lose as much weight as she needed to. It wasn't until she started taking Mounjaro, a diabetes drug often prescribed off-label for weight loss, that she started to see results. Those results opened Demi up to the idea of trying a weight loss drug herself. She started Wegovy in March 2023, not long after the Food and Drug Administration approved it for use in adolescents as young as 12. She has since lost 58 pounds. And yeah, that's pretty incredible, honestly. I don't really agree with the as young as 12. I do think that pretty much everything should have an age limit of 18 because from 0 or 1 to 18, it's really up to the parents to be monitoring what their kids are eating. Let's just keep it real, for real's sake. I mean, you can manage what your kids are eating. I mean, if they're starting to look a little chubby, probably should stop feeding them so much junk food and things like that, or just more food than they're burning in general. I mean, come on, when you're a kid, you don't need to be taking drugs for anything, and that's just steroids, weight loss, whatever. There's just no need. I mean, you're growing up, you're just setting yourself up for failure at that point. Sure, the short term, of course, will be nice, but over the long term, it's not conducive to a healthy lifestyle at all, because it also teaches you that there's shortcuts that you can take, and while, yeah, it's a shortcut that works, how does the bigger picture look? Since the weight loss, she said, hasn't just transformed her appearance, but her mental health as well. Demi said she's been able to go off medication for anxiety and depression. Now that I'm confident in my body, I can be confident in my mind, and that helps a lot, she said. And so this is the problem too, is that with social media, it's just become more and more prevalent that people are trying to compare themselves to other people, the ideal body, see all these 9s and 10s online. It's like, wow, those are hot people. And it's like, yes, they are. But is that the majority? No, it's the minority. And of course, it's just funneling. So you just see the very top and you're trying to compare yourself against that. And it's just another thing you have to realize that not everybody's at the same level, and not everybody can be at the same level when it comes to appearance, strength, and things like that. I mean, even myself, I've come to understand that I've kind of plateaued in the strength department for my weight and body type. There can be some things I can do to increase my strength, of course, but I just will never be as strong as a Larry Wheels. I'm just obviously, even if I took steroids. I mean, he was just so incredibly strong before he started taking steroids, and he was just gifted with it, and I was not so much in that department either. So we just kind of have to pick and choose and figure out where we're more gifted and where we're not. It's really what it comes down to. And then when it comes to the anxiety and depression, that just goes back to the comparing. I mean, I've had depression a little bit. I don't want to say a lot, more so anxiety than anything. Because of thinking what people would think of me and things like that. And one thing that actually helped me was just wearing a tank top to the gym. Because when I first started going, I didn't want to take my shirt off or anything, and I was just kind of stressing out for no reason. And it's really what it is. Because at the end of the day, even if somebody looks at you, they're not staring at you. Everybody's there to work out, and nobody cares. Nobody cares. Even if you catch yourself looking at somebody, you're not looking at them for long because you're about to go back to your next set. So it's just getting trapped in that mindset, which is so sad. I think this is why we should also have an age limit for social media use. There's another guy online, a popular streamer, Asmon Gold. He has stated that it should be 18, and I tend to agree with him. I've held that stance for quite a while as well. So when I heard him say it, I'm like, yeah, that's true. There's no reason why any people under the age of 18 should be on social media, because it just skews and destroys perceptions of what people can do with what they have in front of them. They think that they have to look like them, be as successful as them, and things like that to be worthy, if you will. And it's just not a good place fundamentally to be from for the mental aspect of it and physical aspect of it too, because when you're stressing out, your body isn't doing as well either. That's why you actually gain more muscle when you're not stressing as much, which is something that's kind of nice for me because I have tended to be more anxious in a lot of things. And so when I was able to stop being so anxious, I mean, I still am from time to time, obviously. But once I got it under control, I started to see better results in the gym as well, because it's like, dude, just ain't nobody care. At the end of the day, ain't nobody cares. So why are you crying over this? Just stop. Just take a step back, breathe. And so this is why I'm just not. They really need to make this to like age 18 at least, where you're considered an adult. And then after that, if you still feel the need to take these drugs, go ahead. But it's just not 12 years old, man. It's like they're not even in high school yet. What are we doing? 12 years old? I don't understand why we're feeling the need to just pressure these kids into taking this stuff. This has way more to do with social media and things of that nature, and them comparing themselves and feeling downtrodden because of what they see online, than it is the actual weight and things like that. And again, the weight goes back to the parents should be providing support, telling their kids no when it comes to a lot of eating. They should be eating what they need to eat and not more than that, because you're just setting your kids up for failure. And it goes on to talk about other kids in a similar situation and things like that, and how the drug's working. Of course it's going to work. It's a weight loss drug. They've been testing these for a while, so they kind of know what works and what doesn't. But let me know what you guys think down in the comments. It's definitely I don't want to say it's a difficult subject, but I mean, I guess it can be because it's the internet and everybody has their opinion. But yeah, let me know what you guys think, if it's good or bad, especially for it being as young as 12 years old for these kids to be able to start taking these drugs. I just don't. I know it's hard, but at the end of the day, there's really something to developing the discipline and the routine of just eating better, sleeping better, going to the gym, going for a walk or a run. or things of that nature. Because not only does it translate to better health, but it also can translate to better working and things like that in terms of achieving goals, because you realize that any goal in life that has any meaning to it takes a lot of time and a lot of effort, and it takes discipline that you're going to have to do when you don't feel like doing it. Because there's some days, well, a lot of days actually, where I don't feel like doing anything, and it's like, well, tough luck, bud. It's time to suck it up and get up type deal. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, make sure to leave a like, and I hope to see you guys around. Peace.